even
high
like
percentage.
manual sex. We talked about that, like using your hands,
Which
and
is
stuff,
like hand sex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hand sex.
Yeah.
So like if you're getting, you know, finger.
For instance, like I got a cut on my finger there,
Right.
right? So,
Yes.
like if I have one closer down here, that could essentially transmit the virus.
Yeah.
If you know, it's a.
And then your nails are long, and you might tear them on the inside, and then your hand is already like has an open cut. So it's just a potential for like transmission there.
Yeah.
And that's why we promote the hand gloves.
Yeah, if
right?
you do have some sort of a cut or something like that, use a finger cut. Just use a glove.
But
it's sexy. Do doctor play. Like
Right.
get into it.
Yeah,
Get into it.
That's how you would make
Yes.
sex fun with a glove. Like it would be.
And they have black gloves
doctor's
too.
play,
They have a
right?
black like latex glove. Like
and
it's sexy.
You know, and I wish, you know, because we did want to be conscious of our viewers. There's so many topics we wanted to get into that we're like, you know, maybe
we're really raunchy, and sometimes we want to be raunchy, but we have to be mindful. Like,
mindful as
course.
well that
Always.
we do work with an organization, and even though like our program has essentially gifted us the show, so it's no longer really belongs to an Agby. It actually belongs to Lauren and I, and we're hoping to after the season is done, and I'd love to invite you as well, Aaron. We're gonna be having what's called the Sunday Night Indigenous Sex and Love Show Halloween costume party.
Fun.
On October 27th, and it's a private function, and only the people who are involved in the project, and will be private invitation. But our goal is essentially to raise capital at that event and raise money for that to
continue the show.
do a similar show, but a different show. We maybe want to focus on addictions next, or talking to Indigenous artists.
Awesome.
And then Damon also had a great pitch that he wanted to talk to, so we'll talk to him after about his ideas. But
awesome.
But yeah, it's great to not. One of the things that we found difficult was having to stay within the policies and procedures of an organization or an agency. Even though our agency has been absolutely outstanding, it's still
you have to be sensitive.
because we have funders, and we have people that contribute, and we don't want to offend anybody, and so this will give us an opportunity to go independent, and I think that's what
go rogue.
Yeah, go just like be ourselves, like because we are ourselves in the show. We are, but like we definitely have to like
You're keeping
censor.
it professional.
We have to censor some things.
You gotta keep it a little bit censored.
Editing,
Exactly.
The editing eye is always on.
And so like, you know, one of our program manager, Cynthia Bell, who has been like a second mom to me. She's
the best.
She's such a great woman, and you know, she lives by the philosophy: great leaders don't create followers, they create other great leaders. And I think she has supported everything we have done, and she is even supporting us going independent. And it's just amazing when you have a person that stands behind you, especially a boss, right?
Awesome.
Because a lot of the other social service organizations are like, no, you can't talk about that. Do not talk about sex. We're liable. We
had to push boundaries too for the show. Like there were times where like the topics we were talking about were kind of controversial. Like
the sex toys was one
sex
that we were concerned. But what was really alarming was we've never had a negative complaint in regards to the show, except for there was a poster in the back of one of the ones that had nothing to do with the content, but still it was in the background, and it was
just an ass or something.
It was like a bunch of
it was at the sex shop.
Yeah, there's a bunch of posters down there.
but you know,
just like old products.
But
you know, put our old posters just like up on the wall. So
to the defense of Seduction, they did the interview free of charge. They took up their thing, and they offered us a space to shoot it. We were not in any position to shame or tell them what area that we could and couldn't work in. We were just grateful that they did it for us. And Ashley and their staff there have been so accommodating and so supportive.
You should have Richard on the show. Do you know Richard?
Richard is also Native, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying.
So I was actually at Seductions yesterday and left Richard a message.
Good for you.
Because yesterday
it'd be a great match.
Yeah. So. Because me and Damon were helping, like I said, Ashley Collingbull with a project yesterday, and so we're I went in there and was like, hey, you know, we'd love to have you guys at this at our Halloween party. And
awesome.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward. Hopefully you can come too,
Great,
Aaron.
cool. Yeah, definitely.
Got the special invite.
Yeah, a special invite. Like a VIP. Well, I think this is a great place to take a break. I don't think I can go too much longer for addressing talking about the people that censor me.
Hey. I'm just kidding. Do people censor you?
No.
Okay,
my God,
great.
no, my sponsors are amazing. Well, they're all super sex positive, so that helps.
Cool.
First, we mentioned them before, Oasis Aqua Lounge, which you both know.
They're the best,
They're an amazing sex club here in Toronto, and they're welcoming of people of all gender identities, of all sexual orientations. They're completely shame-free and judgment-free when it comes to all types of pleasure and play, as long as it is consensual between two. Consensual.
Consensual. That's my other as long as it's consensual.
And they have a fantastic facility. They're at 231 Mutual Street, or you can go and take a look at them at oasisaqualounge.com. Another amazing sponsor I have is comeasyouare.com. Okay. They're an amazing trans-owned, trans-operated sex shop that has started here in Toronto. Right now, they're online. They are feminists. They're anti-capitalist. They want to give you the best products at the lowest price possible. And they're going to do that with a coupon code. You will get 15% off when you put in the coupon code BEDPOST, one word, BEDPOST, when you check out at comeasyouare.com. And two of the toy manufacturers that are at comeasyouare.com are also my sponsors. Oh, okay. Wow. Unicorn horn dildo, anyone? This is made by Love Crafters Toys. You can go over to their Etsy shop. What's great is they are a non-gendered fantasy sex toy line. So there are toys literally for everybody, and they're all super fun like this one. Another cool fact is that they're all designed, molded, and poured here in Toronto. It's 100% silicone, so it's a non-porous surface. Silicone is the best material for sex toys. Something you want to put this in, it might be a strap-on harness. And one amazing company that makes a lot of great strap-on harnesses is Unicorn Collaborators. Unicorn Collaborators, awesome Toronto leather makers. They're super body positive, so they make them in like a gazillion different sizes. And they also really love to do custom work. So if they happen to not have something that fits your body or does what you need it to do, you can collaborate with them. And you can email them directly at unicorncollaborators@gmail.com. They also have an amazing Etsy shop that you can check them out there. Or as I said, both of these toy manufacturers are at comeasyouare.com. So go get that discount. And lastly, we have an erotic boudoir photography place. I'm just gonna wave this around. It's a provocateur images. I'm glad you two find it entertaining. Provocateur Images is an amazing Toronto boudoir photography studio. Trevor is the photographer. He's absolutely fantastic. We also have a coupon code, which is going to get you 10% off, which sounds, pretty good. But depending on what package you choose, it's actually going to give you between $65 and $250 off. Okay, so it's huge savings. So go to provocateur_images on Instagram. Go to provocateurs.ca to see the full portfolio and see what Trevor and his business are all about. And that ends our segment for advertisers and people trying to censor me. Don't hold me back, Unicorn Collaborators. I'm looking at you. I'm just kidding. So hi,
can we see the unicorn? Can you bring it over here?
I want to take a look at this. Please do.
I like how she put it on her head.
You have to.
It's a unicorn.
And no, it's very funny. There are some unicorn horns that have a suction. You know how some dildos have a suction cup on the side, so you can mount it somewhere.
That is so cool.
Well, I have a friend that tried to mount it on her own head, like suctioned it on her own head, so she could walk around like that. And then she took it off, and she had a pepperoni-sized bruise.
Oh no!
And she had to grow out her bangs.
Are you serious? So let's not.
Someone should put that on their forehead.
Those are my
and
friends.
Be unicorn for Halloween at our party.
I know. I know.
Yes.
That would be so great.
Love it.
I can't wait to see all the great costumes.
Are we still gonna be the angel and devil?
I don't know yet. I think we should sit down and talk about things.
Who's the angel and who's the devil?
He's obviously the devil. He's like
as if.
I tell everybody like what we're probably gonna be because we want to be matching, and I tell them he's gonna be the devil, and they're like, oh, that's so perfect. Like that's the correct.
I'm glad I'm the evil one. I feel like I am the angel and she is the devil. I don't even know where all this.
Listen. You can both be the devil.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what he was saying. Yeah, he's like, we're both corrupted. We should both be the devil.
We both need help. Both. You know those ones where you wake up and you're just like, what is wrong with me? Why am I like
What
this?
is my life? Okay, so one of the other things is we kind of mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that's super important for youth to be aware of and get education about is dating. Is like the first time you're getting a girlfriend or boyfriend, going on first dates, going on second dates.
I wish I could be 20 years old and date again.
Oh
As
my
you get
God.
older, it gets so much more complicated. I remember when I was young and the first couple times I fell in love, it was very simple. It was, I like you. I get excited when I see you. You smell good. You hug me. I love you.
Yeah.
Now there's these things that we develop as we get older, and they kill relationships. They're called standards.
Right.
we started being like, do you have a job? Do you have a car? Do you
Yeah.
live at home with your mom? Do you have a drinking? Like because it's not that we know what we want. We just know what we don't want anymore. I'm still really loud.
Yes.
Right?
No, you're good. You're good. I got it.
And so yeah, we really wanted to make dating fun and easy for Indigenous youth and all youth, because it's all people watching our show. We have a lot of fans who are non-Indigenous as well.
Yeah.
I had a gentleman who works at Toronto Public Health come into our office.
Proudest moment.
Right? And what he had said was, his name's Donald. He said, "Yeah, we watch your show at Toronto Public Health," and it was like, wow, they're watching us. So that, I mean, it was such a great compliment. And so leaning back into the dating stuff, the most important thing that we want to focus on in dating is safety.
Yes.
Because the first date,
It's a stranger.
It's a
meeting with
stranger.
It's usually a stranger.
So there are some precautions you should take.
Yeah. Tell me about it. What are some good safety things
Like
for
the
first dates?
setting, like where like what's the setting of your date gonna be? You don't want to be somewhere isolated, like their house, like or
don't go to their house. Don't have them come to your house.
Yeah,
Because then they know where you live.
yeah,
Right.
somewhere more public, somewhere where there's other people. So maybe like a park, like not like an isolated park, like High Park and
In the middle of the night. Meet me at High Park at
like a
midnight.
coffee somewhere downtown for dinner.
Yes.
The places where there's lots of people, where there's help accessible in case things do get uncomfortable and you want to exit out of the date.
Yeah. Do you guys tell people to let a friend know where you are, or let have somebody be a safety call?
Yeah,
I've been a safety call for people for sure. They're like, call me at 8 p.m.
Right.
because it's about a half hour into my date,
And then they go,
so they can
my
be
mom's sick, I gotta go.
yeah, or they can be like, yeah, I can't talk right now, I'm busy, I'm on a date. And it's
And
like,
he's
okay,
my
great.
safety guy.
Right.
I update on what's happening on my date, and sometimes he calls me. I'm like, don't call me, like I'm on a date.
Well, and there's this big misconception. Everyone thinks me and Lauren are boyfriend and girlfriend because we do the show together. When in fact, Lauren's the person I go to for all my dating advice. When I'm having a
That's
problem with a
awesome.
girl, and she's having we tell each other everything,
That's
right?
awesome.
And so, I'm really, really grateful for the friendship, and I think that's really important when dating too, is to have a safe, non-judgmental friend that you can talk to as well.
Yeah, real talks, like
Yeah.
really what's happening, not like the filtered version
like-
of the date that you tell your mom, like, oh, he was nice and it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you
somebody
wanna-
that you're like, listen, he did this, and I'm kind of
Yeah,
like,
It threw me off, like it freaked me out. Like
yeah, real talks. Yeah, someone
it's
you can
so-
really confide in.
And it's so hard to find that because people are so judgmental, and they're like, "You did what? It was
Yeah.
your first date?" Like,
I feel like it's very easy for a lot of people to go to that ew place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, ew, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
Like, don't you have standards? Don't you have any self-respect?
So, like, for instance, when I tell Lauren something, she's like, "Really? You did that? That's so cool. Tell me more." I'm just like, "Lauren, stop." And like, was it good? Like, Jesus, Lauren. So yeah, it's when we talk about dating too, it's it's just really difficult, especially when like Tinder now, and there's all these like online datings, and it's become really superficial. A lot of datings where it's
yeah, you see a picture and you swipe left or right.
I like you. I like
Yeah.
her, right?
Yeah.
So that
And that's like the thing about online. Like you really don't. You're not really certain of who you're talking to. Like you're talking to some stranger.
Yeah,
like
catfishing.
Yeah.
how do you know how
Yes.
many like if they're doing that
know.
with you, how many people are they doing that, and and not to shame the person, but to protect ourselves.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? We have to be conscious that
Yeah,
if we're
So
If
if
they're
you
already
like
at a
you
dating
show
app,
up to a date and this person is not at all what they look like
Oh, God.
online, what would you do? Like right away, you're like, I'm just gonna make a quick call before we have this coffee, and just be like,
Well, yeah, I think that would be something I would address right then in the spot, that you're not the person that I was seeing in the pictures.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not you.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I would end the date right then and
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But,
me too.
but some people who may not have that confidence yet, and some people are working on building their confidence.
For sure. There are lots of people that would sit through that day.
Might be scared to say that.
Especially if it's a female identified person meeting a male identified person. It's like right away, we're like, female identified people are scared of men.
Yeah.
Every day, everywhere.
I'm terrified.
Like, terrified.
and
I'm like that. I'm dead serious. That's the undertone,
And men, we need to own that. We've created that dynamic somewhere through history, and maybe not our independent selves, but all of us have had to play as men for creating that sense of people who identify as female not being safe.
When we're talking about all this bullshit of like no guy is safe anymore, it's like, really, has a guy ever been in a room by themselves with a woman and been afraid of her, or been uncomfortable because you're the only guy in the room and there's one woman and you're in a room by yourselves together? Have you ever felt scared?
Well,
really,
I can never say I've never been scared that a woman's gonna rape me.
Yeah,
I've never had that fear in my life that a woman's gonna hold me down and force herself upon me.
Thank you.
I'm scared they might be mean to me, because I saw some people who identify as women, like, oh, she mean.
You know what? I read somewhere that like the base fear for women is that they will be killed by men, and the base fear for men is that women will laugh at them
or reject them.
Yeah,
rejection hurts.
Yeah, pride, male pride is like
it's
the
attached
root
to our
of
ego,
everything.
Right? So, and you have to, to approach a person that you're really interested in takes a lot of courage and bravery. And so when you go and do that, and someone's like, ew, like, I'm not interested in you, like, why don't you, like
why would you
fuck
even
off, right? You're like, you might not want to talk to nobody for the rest of the night now. Your self-esteem shot, right?
Especially for a lot of men and male identified folks, it's like the ego is a huge.
Well, it's
a big part. It's attached to
testosterone. And testosterone is attached to ego and competing and that's why I find even when I go out, sometimes when I go out to the bars or the clubs, you see these big dieseled guys, but they don't have the social skills to interact with the females that they like, so they're having a hard time making those, and they want to beat me up.
Yeah.
Because I'm they want to punch me out because I'm very social and I'm very intuitive and so that creates.
Where do you source that?
Where do I source what?
Your confidence.
Through experience. Through my accomplishments. It's about who I am, not what I look like. It's about remembering the great things that I've done. Like, I'm a frontline worker for 12 years now. And the other thing too, I could say I've grown up with, I'm really grateful. I grew up with, my mother was 16 years old when she had me, and I have a sister. So I grew up in a house with females who essentially taught me a little bit more about the relational aspect of
what it means to actually
be in a relationship. And things like very basic things like communication. So many of our men are socialized so early that talking about our feelings
you can't
is somehow associated with a weakness.
Yeah.
And so when I was young, I was growing up with these two females where I had to talk about my feelings often because they were living with two females who are emotional, and so I think I learned to talk about my feelings, and I have more female friends than I do men friends.
It's true. Edward does get a lot of like people in the community are very judgmental of him for being open with his feelings. Like you often get
called gay.
Yeah, he often gets called gay for expressing himself, and it's just that like it's not necessary because that's not the case. He's just like very open with his feelings.
And so the first time someone had ever said that, I remember being really offended. And then I had to check myself and go back and said the act of being offended by being called gay.
It's a little homophobic.
Would say that there's something wrong with being gay.
Yeah.
So I had to check myself and figure out what that's about. And what that's about is seeking validation from men. Because I want to be accepted by men as well, right? I want men to treat me as equal, but like I said, there's that association.
And that's just in the same way being called a girl, you throw like a girl. Is because it's shameful to be a girl. You know why it's shameful to be called a girl? Because it's shameful to be a girl. That's what it's saying.
You know what's also interesting is that when men really like females, like as friends, them complimenting their female friend is like, oh, you're like one of the guys.
Like one of the guys. Like that's the highest compliment.
Like, you know.
Fuck you!
Right? Oh gosh.
Like
out of town.
like you're not like any other girl. You're just like a guy. Like you got a dick. Like
Why?
you're one
What
of
are
us.
what are other girls like? Tell me. Break it down for me. What are all the other girls like that I'm not like? Yeah.
Well, everyone's their own individual. We're all, you know what? Every person is their own unique, special individual, and I think that's really important to really amplify. Is that, you know what, everybody has something really special to give. And
I think that's a good dating tip as well. Like, try to see the person and try to have them see you as an individual on the first date. Like,
for sure.
It's hard on a first date because you're
hard.
really trying to impress and
the person.
you want to put on the best version of yourself
Right.
when you're meeting a person for the first time. But like, really try to like get
Well, and people have different love languages.
Yes.
So, you know, for instance, I'm a very affectionate person with
He's
physical.
super affectionate to everybody.
I am, and that's, you know, and I pride my father on that. See, when we grew up, you grew up in poverty, right? We didn't have nothing to give to each other. So one of the ways that we showed that we loved each other was through physical touch.
Yeah.
Sharing that kindness, because we, like, for instance, my father's a very affectionate man, but he grew up really poor. And so that was his way of showing.
That's a very interesting.
That was his way of showing me and my sister that he loved us, because he didn't have no money to give us. He couldn't pay for things during some of his harder times, right? So
that's a very interesting point when you think of like, where do these love languages come from and what influence? Because I think a lot of people are aware of the love languages at this point. I think there's been a lot of talk in media about it, but it's like, that's interesting to when you think of where we develop these love languages. It's like, well, we didn't have money, so we had hugs.
Yeah, we had
hugs.
hugs
are free. So.
And an elder once told me that too. He said when you're growing up in poverty, one of the ways, and that's maybe why there's so much pregnancy in poor communities and stuff like that, because one of the ways that we shared ourselves was through music and through sex and through love, because we didn't have anything else to really share. Now, here's the irony. My mother, polar opposite of my dad, not a very huggy, touchy woman.
Okay,
she's acts of service and you know, and gifts, like, she, you know what I mean, she's she's a breadwinner because she's the single parent, and she also grew up where she wasn't always hugged and loved like that,
and
right?
that's her learned
behavior, right? So when I hug my mom, she's like, get off of me, right? Like, you know, like, give me a break.
Stop embarrassing me.
Same thing with my sister. My sister's the same way, right? And so it's interesting.
It's interesting to think of where you get it from, right? Yeah, what you have developed. Yeah. For me, I think of like, I mean, I had a great childhood, not to say I didn't, but yeah, physical touch may not have been like the number one way my parents communicated with me that they loved me. So I just craved that so much as a young person. I just craved to be like told that I'm good and like all that stuff, you know,
those
like
compliments, right?
and even just be touched. Maybe that's why I kind of launched into like my sex life very early and like prematurely, is because like, oh, I just want to be loved and like, you know,
that's
touched
a long-lasting
and
impact and everything. It really impacts you as an adult,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think,
and to this day, that's how I communicate my love, is like
absolutely.
just I love you, and just like hug. Yeah.
Well, even this association, and this is a big one that we wanted to talk to with our youth about is that the association that sex and love are the same thing.
Yes.
Because there's a big misconception around love and sex being the same thing. I know when we're having sex, we feel like we're in love, right? But you know, I always describe sex as a love is like a cake. It's got its substance, and the sex is like the icing. Now the cake is good without the. You can eat the cake without the icing.
Cake is still good.
It's still good, but it's better with the icing, right?
Yeah.
And same thing. What happens if you just eat icing? You get sick. So if you're just having the sex without the love,
I like this metaphor.
Then you start to. It's not good for you either. You're missing that substance.
Though I don't know if that's a total generalization to make, because lots of people have unattached sex and are digging it, and
person by person, right? Like it's
as long as it's all consensual and like we know what's happening. Like you know, you're not having miscommunications where people, you know, want relationships with you and and you don't communicate that. It's like, oh no, I really just love having a casual sex life,
absolutely,
you know, or a single poly person that just likes to.
And you know, and to each his own. For myself, you know, I found that was hard for me.
It's hard
to have casual sex without somebody getting hurt. And and I found that, like, and that's why there's partially me, like, I love sex, I'm very pro sex, but there is some sort of trauma that can be associated with it. I don't know if that's the stigma or what that's about, but I found that when I was having sexual relationships without the relationship aspect, when it was just sex, if it hurt the other person, it started to hurt me.
Yeah, sure.
Like they started to develop feelings, and even if I was open and consensual about that, because sometimes we agree to put ourselves in relationships that we think we can handle at the time, but then
or that we think we can change them, or maybe it'll move
Maybe
towards what I
it'll-
really want because I
Exactly.
like this person.
Exactly.
Which is why it's always good to have, try to have full disclosure, but also have ongoing conversations about it. Because, even the situation, two people that are like, casual is exactly what I want. Another thing is like, what's your interpretation of casual, by the way?
Right.
But also, like, maybe a month down the road or whenever, it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of craving something more than casual. So it's great to like just keep touching base to try to not hurt,
Exactly,
to try
people.
to keep everyone
And
happy.
I only know that because, like I said, I like when I was in my early 20s, I know I heard some people that that we were having, and I thought everything was okay, and then I got hurt too.
Yeah.
I was like,
sex is a very layered act, and as we said, like it means something different to everyone. It's by case basis, their lived experience, of their sex life, and
so that's the balance of the show, is we want to build the self-esteem for people to make consensual decisions about, so people aren't just sleeping with someone because they want to change them.
Yeah, and my teachings are, so once you engage in like a relationship with somebody, like it could be any relationship, like a sexual relationship, like a friendship, once you have somebody in your life, that relationship's never going to end. It's going to be ongoing for the rest of your life. So you want to be really mindful. So if in this case, if you have a sexual partner, you want to be mindful about who you're letting into your life, because then you're going to have that connection and relationship with them forever. So and like we were talking about, like people change, right? So you want to have that ongoing conversation with them, because they're going to be a part of your life forever.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I entirely agree with that, because there's some people I don't ever communicate with anymore.
No, but like there's a connection there
there's
forever.
you're
never
definitely
gonna erase that history you have with them. It's
The worst is when you run into someone you slept with, like at a random place, and you're like, oh god, like on the bus, like, hey, you're like, oh hey, it's good to see you. You're like, hey, you were supposed to call me. You're like, yeah, I wasn't I?
A lot of conversations I have with past partners, the first thing will be like, are we good?
Right? That happened, and
are we good? And it's
exactly.
Like, it's like, okay, well, I'll text you later.
Good, I'll shoot you a text.
Yeah, we
later.
need to have a conversation.
Yeah, no, it's it's such a.
But
funny...
I kind of understand what you're saying, though. Even the like lack of relationship is still, the person is in your life.
Yeah,
like
even,
they're on your monitor. Once they've entered your life, they'll never leave your life. Like they're still on the planet, and you know that they are on the planet.
Like there's gonna be a connection and a bond for life, because you guys shared something at some point, whether it was a friendship, a sexual experience. Like you guys will always be connected in some way.
Just because you have history, just for the sole reason that you have connected at one point.
And you know what I think's really important too is the privacy around sex as well. There's a lot of people, you have private consensual relationships, and then they go tell somebody, and you're like, you weren't supposed to do that, right? Like,
and another thing to try to hammer out communication wise beforehand, it's like, well, I prefer it to stay between us,
especially in the Indigenous community, which is a smaller community. People talk, and next thing you know, everyone's knowing your business.
Yeah,
right?
and I feel like that can be translated to all different types of community, not only cultural, but like, say, my husband is in the comedy community, so he's like, I'd rather you. We're polyamorous, so he's like, I'd rather you not with other people in the comedy community.
It makes sense, right?
And it's like, no problem, totally get it because of that reason. It can get a little incestuous and dramatic.
We should have done an episode on poly.
If I had a poly relationship,
you can,
because
we should.
I'm so open to poly relationships, but I would never want my partner to sleep with anybody in the Indigenous community, because
there's a lot to unpack there, but unfortunately I think we should be wrapping it up.
Okay. No, we want to spend more time with you, Erin. We have so much more to talk about.
If you ever do a do you ever do
the polyamorous thing?
I would love to come on there, because I have a lot of experience.
You'd like to come on there?
I would like to
She wants to
come on.
Where are you coming?
Come in where?
Okay, we're having safer sex right now.
Okay. Sorry, I just thought I'd throw the sex joke in there.
We've got to wrap up the podcast. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, are you able to just tell me where people can find your show? Give us the links, your social media stuff. Introduce yourselves again as well.
Okay, I'll let Lauren go first.
So I'm Lauren LaValle. I'm Lauren LaValle.
I'm Lauren LaValle.
Enough said.
No, we should have done introductions in the beginning. So I'm Lauren LaValle. I'm from Whitefish River First Nation. I'm Ojibwe. My spirit name is Evening Star. And I am a social worker in this community, and I am a sex positive individual who wants to spread like positivity about sex and love. And you can find our stuff on our Facebook pages. So on my Facebook page, Lauren LaValle. On Damon's Facebook page, Damon Anton.
And then you can find it also on the Edward Sear Facebook page. You can also find us on YouTube as well. If you just type in the Sunday Night Indigenous Sex and Love Show, you will see an abundance of pictures of me and Lauren, and then you'll see some other ones of Sue from back in the day. All her episodes pop up when we type that in. And I'm from Eagle Village First Nations. My mother's Diane Sear. My father's Eddie Wamet. I always want to honor their names as well. They're monumental instruments to the song I sing in my life, and I'm really grateful. I am from Eagle Clan. My sacred name is Kichitawa Migazi, which means Sacred Eagle Man, and I too am hoping that this project will reduce shame and stigma and raise awareness around sexuality. And once again, myself and Lauren LaValle are not sexual health experts. We are simply two young ambitious individuals who want to dive into learning and growing. So we still also have a lot of growing and learning to do
as we all do.
Yeah. So
even sex educators,
absolutely.
even certified sex educators.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So we're still learning, and we just hope that the information is received well. It's all done with great intentions.
Amazing. I'm so happy to have had you here.
It's been our pleasure.
Let me think of the things I gotta say. If you're in Toronto and you want to check out the Bedpost stage show, because we do a really fun performative variety show as well, we do it the third Thursday of every month at 8 p.m. at the Social Capital Theatre, and the last Tuesday of every month at Super Wonder Gallery at 9. If you're watching us on YouTube, please comment, subscribe, share it around. It does really great things for me and my business. Same with if you are listening to the podcast on iTunes or another podcasting app. A rating and reviewing goes a really long way. We want to give a huge thank you to the Sonar Podcasting Network, to Eggplant Media, and the Pacific Junction Hotel, who helps produce all our fantastic content at the Bedpost Podcast. And lastly, if you are listening to the audio podcast, you will hear original music by Stephanie Copeland, who can be reached on her website, stephcopelandmusic.com. And one last huge thank you to Edward and Lauren. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Erin.
And thank you to everyone that's listening and watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.